Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown, Dunkirk, and Westfield, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey everybody, good morning. I'm Doc Hamels and welcome to another edition of Chautauqua Sunrise. If you're out there driving, it was a spectacular sunrise this morning. Clear skies and the sun was coming up over the horizon and it was just about blinding. Just gorgeous, but cold. It was 34 degrees at my house this morning. I don't know what it was like at your place. 25 here in Mayville. All right. So you win again. You can keep it. We're closer to the lake and I think that kind of buffers our temps a little bit. But anyways, so glad you could join us this morning or this afternoon, whatever time it is you're watching us. Remember, the show is rebroadcast at 2 and 8 every day on Spectrum 1301. And you can catch us on Facebook and YouTube and wherever else we are, all over the place. Okay, remember that on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, we are with WRFA 107.9, Low Power to the People in Jamestown. Thanks for having us again, and thanks for joining us. As always, I think this show is going to be informative and something you want to pay attention because I think it's going to touch somebody you know in your circle or your life. All right, this is a live show right now, and we have a number you can call, 716-753-5225, and we have somebody, an operator, waiting to take your call. And if you want to talk to us or ask a question, they'll pipe you right into the room here with us, into the studio, and we'll answer your question or take your comment. Okay, don't be shy. If you are that shy, you can just simply leave the message with the operator. They'll write it down and get it to me. Also, throughout the week, if you have a question or comment or something you want to announce, send it to chautauquasunrise@gmail.com. We get these things all week long. Okay, so thanks for that. Well, I hope you all are doing well. It's the weather has been interesting. We had, 4 Saturdays in a row. I think I commented last week that it was raining, and finally it's cooled off a bit and dried off a little bit. I have wiped, I think, 400 paws in the month of October. I have dogs visiting the house, and everybody line up, sit down, give me your paw, and just mud everywhere. Brody, his little paws are like sponges and they're webbed, so I can only get so much, and you can always see where he he was in the house. My wife says, I thought you wiped his paws. I said, I did. Like, squeeze out that water. Anyways, they tell me, I goofed this up last year, see if I get it right. Tonight, turn the clocks back. It's fall back. Got it right. Last year I had it falling forward. Get backwards. Fall back. So, when you go to bed, turn it back an hour and you get an extra hour of sleep. I could use it. Now, if I can just tell the dog that, it doesn't matter to him. So, let's see what else we have here. I failed to mention, I don't think anywhere along the line, that one of my underwriters, Meters, the restaurant, they still have the Chautauqua Sunrise Special on Sundays, and it's not in their regular menu, because I questioned them. I says, where is my breakfast? And they say, oh, that's a special. And so Sundays, you can ask for the Chautauqua Sunrise. It's delicious. All right.
They should do it on Saturday.
They should do it on Saturdays. Talk to the management. That's all I can tell you. It's a Sunday special. We were just talking about vaccinations and so forth. So I just sharing with you that I got my booster shot. And I guess it's a half dose. I got the Moderna just the other day. And side effect was pretty mild. Just got kind of tired, took a nap like I usually do somewhere during the day. My power nap, I call it. I've been doing it since I was a baby, my mom told me. I just fall asleep anywhere. And then here I am. No big deal. Maybe a little ache or two, but that could be just, as my dear friend Justin tells me, it may have age-related. It had nothing to do with the booster shot. So anyways, they're giving those out. I know at CVS, just to use that reference, you just go online and sign up. It was easy peasy, and Barb and I had them done together. Well, not together, but I mean, they put us together in time frame, so they got us in and out of there in no time flat. So, your choice. But I would encourage you to do what you can to protect yourself and the ones that are around you. Okay, trivia question. Are you ready? Ready, Justin?
I'm ready.
All right. What does George Carlin, Captain Kangaroo, and Johnny Cash all have in common? Give me the names again. George Carlin, Captain Kangaroo, and Johnny Cash.
All dead?
They're Jeff beat you. They're all veterans. Oh, Randy Burke got it, the answer, and gave it to Jeff. Well, anyways, George Carlin, comedian, famous, was in the Air Force. Did not know that. Captain Kangaroo, I learned years after I was a big Captain Kangaroo fan. He was a Marine. Who would have thought Captain Kangaroo was like charge up the hill and all that stuff? Johnny Cash was in the Air Force. So those are just three of many, many, many. And that's our theme for today is Veterans Day and Veteran Services. And my guest will be on shortly. We just got to go through a few other things, and we'll be talking with him. So anyways, we have some announcements to get to. My goal today is not to get stuck on any word or phrase. Let's see how far I go. Some days is brutal. First one. Christmas in the Village in Westfield. Coming up, it's called Let There Be Light Parade. Prizes for best entry, sponsored by Grace and Abe's at 14 North Portage Street, are first place, $500. Second place, $250. Third place, $150. It's going to be held Saturday, November 20th at 4:30 p.m. The rain date is the very next day, where it lines up at the Westfield Academy Central School parking lot at 3:45. Requirements: entries must have lights. Judging will be based on theme, lights, message, size matters here, and uniqueness. Handouts encouraged. I'm guessing candy. The vote, elections are over, so they're not going to vote for me, so it must be something like that. And of course, walkers are welcome. There is a form that you can go to most of the places, and it has name of entry, contact person, email, phone number, and so forth. And if you have more questions, you can give Marilyn Hemmer a call at 753-6042. And here's a little footnote. I've been asked to be the announcer So it's going to be Chautauqua Sunrise Productions, and some of the crew are going to join me, and they're going to film it, and maybe we'll put together something so that y'all can see it later on. All right? So again, the deadline, yes, is Monday, November 15th. Thank you, Jeff. So get your entries in, and Sue Poster is in charge of that, and give them a call. Okay, this is a new business in the county. Every once in a while, I like to mention something that's new because, people say, well, what can I do? Where can I buy this or whatever? So this is a place called Mulligans on Fairmont Avenue. It's the newest indoor recreation center featuring something for just about everyone, Justin. Owners Kyle and Emily Crandall have packed the space at 4467 Fairmont Avenue in Lakewood with 3 rooms for virtual recreation, including digital golf, sports, shooting, and virtual reality in arcade gaming. Whether you want to play a round of golf or at a premier course, or just have fun and try out other virtual sports, Mulligans on Fairmont can offer your group or friends or family a fun time. According to Kyle Crandall, we set up to establish a unique one-stop shop for all ages for indoor entertainment in Chautauqua County. It's been a lot of work, but we are so pleased to share the results with the entire community. Right now, it starts. Okay, so in the picture you're seeing the Crandalls were joined by, let's see, there's George Borrello, our state senator, P.J. Wendell, the county executive, Dan Heitzenreiter, who's the president of the Chautauqua Chamber of Commerce, along with the Crandalls there. And Heitzenreiter says this facility is really spectacular. It's so much more fun than what you see from the outside. We are proud to have a business of this caliber added to our list of Chamber of Commerce members in Chautauqua County. So you can rent space there, you can have a party, you can do all kinds of things. They do have a website called Mulligans on Fairmont.com. And again, that's at 4467 West Fairmont Avenue. Check it out. Something to do on a gray fall or winter day. Moving along, the Broadway musical $1 Million Quartet will be performed at Reg Linné Center for the Arts Sunday, November 7th. Let's see, what is today? I don't even know. So tomorrow. All right. $1 Million Quartet is a Tony Award-winning musical inspired by the famed recording session that brought together, listen to this now, rock and roll icons Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, we just mentioned him, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins for the first and only time. On December 4th, 1956, these 4 young musicians gathered at Sun Records in Memphis for what would be one of the greatest rock and roll jam sessions ever. Carl Perkins was in a post-blue suede shoes funk. He booked a recording session on December 4th with producer Sam Phillips, along with Jerry Lee Lewis and Perkins. Jerry Lee Lewis. Perkins had his own band, recorded a number of songs, including Matchbox. Details from the rest of that day are still questioned, but this is what is known. Perkins and Lewis were later joined by Elvis and Johnny Cash, and the foursome held an impromptu jam session. A newspaper wrote the quartet could sell 1 million. Shortly after, they were known as the $1 Million Quartet. That would have been something to see. The session was a reunion for Cash, Perkins, and Presley, who had toured the South together in 1955. Must have been with the USO, right? Most likely that's where Presley was assigned. Lewis was still a star on the rise, but quickly bonded with Presley, not a bad idea, over their shared knowledge of spirituals. Cash's presence is still debated by historians. Some say that he was only there for a short time and quickly left. This seemed to be confirmed on a season recordings in which you can't hear the Man in Black at all. However, in Cash's autobiography, the country music legend attributes his relative absence on the recordings to the fact that he was singing in a higher register than usual to help blend better with Presley. He was so deep in his boots when he sang. I'm sure he had to, because Elvis was more baritone kind of tenor, and Cash was definitely a bass. Okay, so what are you going to hear? You're going to hear things like Blue Suede Shoes, Fever, That's All Right, 16 Tons, I Walk the Line, Great Balls of Fire, Folsom Prison Blues. My band still does that song. Whole lot of shaking going on, Hound Dog, and a whole lot more. The musical is presented without intermission by the National Touring Company. It runs 100 minutes long. Okay, so the doors open at 6:30. The performance starts at 7:30. Tickets are $25, $35, and $50. Masks are required regardless of vaccination status. Give them a call at 484-7070 for tickets. Okay? And that's going to be at the Reginald A coming up tomorrow. Sounds like fun. Something to do. And here's something else that's coming up. The Jamestown Holiday Parade. Another parade. Oh, gosh. The highlight of the Christmas weekend of December 3rd and 4th is the Holiday Parade. The city of Jamestown, in collaboration with Collaborative Children's Solutions, present the Jamestown Holiday Parade 2021, pending Safety Committee approval. The theme for this year's holiday parade is Jamestown, New York, a diverse community celebrating holiday traditions from around the world. There's a picture from past holidays. It's all lit up there, beautiful. The parade will feature a 1 mile adults and children fun run, musical entertainment, a traditional tree lighting ceremony at 8 with Mayor Eddie Sundquist, and a fireworks display above Spring Street parking ramp. Applications to participate in the parade are now being accepted. Additionally, downtown businesses have the opportunity to showcase their establishments and welcome guests. Anyone interested in participating in the parade? And if you're a downtown business who will open during the parade, please register at jtny.events. jtny.events. The holiday parade will be held on Saturday, December 4th, beginning at 6 p.m. The parade will itself begin on 3rd Street Bridge and continue down 3rd Street to City Hall. Parade lineup will begin at 5 p.m. on West 3rd Street between Halleck Street and Porter Avenue. Let's see. A parade Facebook event page can be found at, 2021 Jamestown, New York Holiday Parade. That's what it's called. Okay, and let's see here. For more information or sign up for the parade, visit chautauquachamber.org and complete the appropriate application. And you can talk to Patrick Smeraldo, who's with the Collaborative Children's Solutions, and you can go to ccsolutions716@gmail.com. And that's what we got for you today. So things are coming up. We got things for the weekend and something to look forward to. We're going to take a little breather, and we're going to be right back. Stay tuned.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
My guest today has the honor of being the most invited and appearing guest on my show ever. Welcome back, Greg Carlson, Director of Veteran Services for Chautauqua County.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. And I enjoy listening to your side of the story no matter what we're talking about. We had some lively discussions about a variety of topics before we started. So it's always nice to hear different opinions, because now that I'm retired, my circle of contact gets smaller and smaller. So coming here, I get to talk to all kinds of folks. So we're going to talk about veterans. We're going to talk about Veterans Day. We're going to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. But how about, let me ask you a question. I think about this every time you come on. Do you happen to know how many new veterans there are in Chautauqua County between shows? I mean, is it like, do you get contact like a couple people? Is it 10, 20, 30? Or?
No, well, now how many veterans do I?
New to you.
Oh, new to me. Oh my goodness. So and business is picking back up. We're back to the pre-COVID levels. But between Dave and Dunkirk, Mike and I, we probably file anywhere between 150 to 250 new claims a year.
So between shows, you're picking up about 100 people.
Oh yeah, for sure. And those are just claims we file. And that's between the three of us. Those are just claims we file, probably, a couple a week on average. That's not how many veterans we have contact with. We have a contact with a lot more veterans and spouses and family members, but just new claims that we do every year.
Well, where I'm going with this is, number one, hopefully people are watching this show and say, oh, I need to go do this. And number two is that every day someone is, I don't know what the term is, they're what do you call it when you leave the service? There's a term for that.
Being discharged.
I thought it was a different term. All right, so they're being discharged from the service, whatever branch, every day, I'm assuming, because depending on when they signed up and so forth. So that's what I was thinking, is there must be enough people in between my shows with you that we do twice a year that there's always new people that should be listening and picking up on this stuff.
What's
right?
crazy is the people we see the most aren't people who are newly discharged.
Oh.
It's people who just they were not aware they were eligible for any benefits. The most common person I would say 50% of the people when we have first contact are either, I would say they're between the age of 55 and 65 and they're retiring. So what they'll do is maybe they work as a civil servant and they're getting ready to retire and they're looking at all their health care options.
Looking at the big picture of
and how things transfer over, and one of the questions that'll be asked, oh, you're a veteran, you should go talk to the Veteran Service Agency and see if maybe they can assist in some of these ways. Or somebody getting ready to go on Social Security, the same thing. Social Security office will say, okay, you've signed up for Medicare Part B, you've done this list of things, why don't you go talk to
Gotcha.
Veteran Services? So probably, and I can't, this is not a scientific number, but I'm willing to say,
I'll hold you to it.
I'm willing to say that is the most common first contact that we have, is somebody getting ready for a change of life, retirement, whether that's retirement age for everybody for Social Security, or they're retiring. Some people retire from the school district a little early, like in their late 50s, and they're looking for something to bridge them in between when they can go on Medicare and what they have now. And there's all kinds of rules about buying back and carrying insurance and all the. I can't even keep track of all of the different things. I hear so many different things as it pertains to medical insurance, but they'll come meet with us and.
Okay, and I don't think you can answer this question. Maybe you can, because you do know a lot of things. Nowadays, is there an average age of when you get discharged?
It's changed.
Getting older or younger?
Older.
Okay.
It's changed. It's getting older. From World War II till about the early 1970s, there was a continuous draft. Even in between Korea and Vietnam, people would still get inducted into the service. They would get drafted. And back then, we had a young force, big, Cold War. So we had several million people on active duty, mostly young males. 18, 19, 20, they would do a 2 to 4 year hitch, and they were out.
Okay.
Today, 55% of our military is a career force, meaning they're beyond their first tour of duty or their first enlistment. So there's a lot of reasons for that. One, it's a much more lucrative career now than it was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s with the pay and benefits. Number two, it takes so much longer to train a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine. We just don't have as many labor-intensive jobs, and we have a lot more technically intensive jobs.
So
it just takes longer to make one.
Ballpark age, maybe late 30s, 40s?
I would say probably, if you were going to average it out,
just
late 20s.
Late 20s.
Late 20s.
Okay, and you'll see where I'm going with this. So if someone is discharged today, and let's just use the age of 28, just for the heck of it. So they probably been in the service for at least 10 years.
Sure.
All right, fair enough? So here's you got the 28-year-old, 10-year service, and you told me the typical person you get that signs up is 55 years of age.
Yeah.
We're talking now that a lot of people for 30 years never see you.
Correct.
That's where I was going with all that.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
what a waste of time. Why didn't they come to you sooner? There are things that they probably are eligible for they don't even know about.
There's a lot of reasons.
Today's we're focused on veterans, so let's see how many younger guys we can get to you.
There's a lot of reasons for this, but probably the most common reason is younger guys, unless they had some sort of injury or illness related to service, they're working, they have full-time jobs, they look at it as, well, I don't want to take this benefit away.
Right.
I don't want to take this away from someone who deserves it more than me.
But that was part of their package when they put their hand up and took their oath, right?
It was, but that's just what they say. Hey, I don't want to take anything from anyone else, or I just don't need it.
But if they don't use it, they lose it, or
They
you
don't-
lose it. I mean, it's
We always say the dream veteran we'll just use healthcare,
Okay.
because that's the one thing that most people know about. The dream veteran is the healthy veteran who's enrolled, who doesn't have any issues, and only has to go to the doctor once a year.
for his physical.
For his
Or her-
physical.
or her physical.
And why is that person so valuable to the VA clinics? Because the clinics do not base the number of providers on how many visits they have per year. It's how many veterans they have enrolled. So if you have a veteran who's a Vietnam guy, who's got the Agent Orange presumptives, who's may have several doctors' visits a month, okay, they're only counted as one person. If you have a 28-year-old veteran who's on no medications, who goes his once a year physical, he's counted as one. So in the eyes of how they do manning and everything, they're equal people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we always say, if you're eligible for VA healthcare and you enroll in VA healthcare, and you only go once a year and get your physical, you are helping the overall veteran population, because there is going to
Money's
be
into
not necessarily more money, but providers.
right.
More people to care for
providers
you.
is
Yeah,
money,
money,
because
yeah.
it's resources. we'll
Yeah,
call it.
more, yes. So it actually helps, not hurts,
Mm-hmm.
the veterans.
I'll give you just a family quick scenario. We have a World War II veteran, we have a Vietnam veteran, and we have, we'll call it the Afghanistan Iraqi veteran. All three of them are in my family, and they all use VA services all the time.
Good for them.
Because I pester them, and their wives pester them, and I think it's because you've been on the show, and your predecessor's been on the show, and I've been sharing information with them. And the youngest of the three was stationed out west, used services out there, came back to our hometown area, and used his services out of Erie, and you guys, I'm sure, absolutely loves it. Could not say any more about the Erie VA and all the others that have used your services, the Vietnam group. Just can't say enough. So well done, and just keep up the great work. Because my family, for 3 different generations, are veterans and are using your services. And I know that I've sent one of the spouses to your offices, and y'all helped them.
Good.
That's good. So I got a little piece of trivia for you today.
Okay,
All right.
I'm ready.
So this is Jeff. Be at the ready, because don't put it up yet, but just wait. Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So we're going to go back a little bit of time. Who do you know? Of course, you're not going to know this, but if you do, I will be totally impressed. Who was the last living Civil War veteran in Chautauqua County?
I do not know who the last living Civil War veteran was in Chautauqua.
Well, I got personal great news, because this person was from my hometown of Ripley.
All right.
Now you can put it up, Jeff. Robert M. Brown was 104, and he was the last living Civil War veteran in our county. He passed in 1949, as I recall. And as it turns out, he wasn't born and raised in Ripley, but he came later in life and lived in Ripley, and was very, very active in his community, and well respected. And being town historian, I ran across this, so I thought, gosh, I should bring that for you, just for you to see. Jim Kurtz, I'm sure you know Jim. He was asking me about that not too long ago. I just sent that to him. But 104, last living Civil War veteran from Ripley, New York.
I mean, to live 104 years is amazing, but then you have to put it in the context of the time that he lived.
Yeah.
I mean,
You saw a whole lot.
that was he lived to be he must have been a healthy guy. He must take good care of himself. They didn't have some of the medical advances we have now that'll keep us living longer.
But anyways,
sure.
I thought you might like that little tip.
Oh, definitely.
Now, speaking of veterans, this is going to be Veterans Day week, basically. I know you're going to be busy. But did you get a chance to get to the Mayville new program there that they have or near the cemetery, the new pavilion in that?
I did not get a chance to get to that one. There's scheduling conflict, but I've heard good things.
We just did a show on it, and Jim Kurtz did a presentation at our Rotary Club, and I believe they're still looking for people to buy bricks that they attach to the walls and honor their veterans, whether deceased or living. So pretty cool stuff. Again, you and I've talked about this. This county honors their veterans.
Oh,
big time.
Very, very veteran-friendly
Yeah.
place to live.
We still have about 11,000 veterans, or is it up or down?
Unfortunately, the veteran population is declining every year. I can't put an exact number on it, but we have more, as you know, Chautauqua County is an older population. And as the World War II, Korea, and now unfortunately even the Vietnam guys are starting to pass
they're
on,
getting older.
the number of people replacing them is diminishing.
Well,
but
as you
that's
said,
true. But that's true nationwide.
Yeah. Okay, because I remember years ago, I think you quoted somewhere around 11,000, but then somebody said it was more in the tens. So, but that's here in Chautauqua County. And, you know, and this is the thing that amazes me is that's a lot of people for this county, I think. It's a lot.
Well, when you consider that not that long ago, in my lifetime, in the 80s, 70s and 80s, when they used to base their numbers of new membership for like the American Legion, there was 45,000 veterans in Chautauqua County. So it was a much larger population. At one point in American history, 40% of the population had served.
Yeah.
And that number is less than 10% now.
Right. Well, and you referenced that earlier. The Army, whatever branch is, fewer people doing the same job, basically, because of technology, right? So World War II, you had millions and millions, and now you probably have hundreds of thousands, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Well, if you look at it over the course of time, active duty military, we're not going to talk about the total force, active duty military, during the Cold War, ranged between 2 and 2.5 million. And then, you know, obviously during World War II it surged, it was 16 million people. But generally speaking, up until the 90s when they had the first BRAC, Base Realignment and Closure Act that came in, active duty was in that 2 to 2.5 million. Over the last 30 years, since the early 90s, it's been more around 1 to 1.5 million. During the surge in Iraq in 2006 and 2007, I think we were up closer to that 1.5 million. But generally speaking, it's 1 to 1.1 million on active duty total. And you got to consider the population is more now than it was 30, 40, 50 years ago during the heart of the Cold War when we kept a 2 to 2.5 million person active duty force. And the number of bases that we used to have across the country as well. It was interesting earlier you were bringing up your trivia question with veterans who have served. It's surprising when you look at some of the people that served that you may have never thought of. One is the Golden Girls, B. Arthur. She was in the United States Marine Corps. She served during World War II. I want to say she was a mechanic during World War II. George Jefferson, the Jeffersons, was an air policeman in the Air Force, and so was Chuck Norris.
I knew Chuck Norris was, but I didn't know
Sinbad was also in the
Jimmy Stewart just
in the
was
military.
popped up in my area.
Jimmy Stewart was a brigadier general.
He was a general?
In the Air Force Reserve. So during World War II, he was the Distinguished Flying Cross. He was a pilot. He was a trained pilot before he joined the military.
Wow.
And he was too skinny to commission, so he gained a little bit of weight. He enlisted, and then they looked at his intelligence and his skill set, and they quickly commissioned him. And he was an executive officer, did all kinds of different stuff. But he stayed in the Air Force Reserves, and he actually flew. He wasn't the pilot
Brigadier General.
or the mission commander, but he actually flew as a full bird colonel on a B-52 in Vietnam. I think he was an observer for the flight, but he's got that logged in his flying hours. But yeah, Jimmy Stewart was a brigadier general. There's a lot of people who served, and it almost Elvis Presley. He was inducted into the he was in from 58 to 60. Johnny Cash, he was not a model airman, but he was he didn't He didn't love authority. Gene Hackman was
Yep.
actually
Yep.
in the Army.
Wow.
So there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and I think anybody that is interested, they could easily Google famous military veterans, and up comes a zillion people that you would never even think of. I think, is it Ice-T? One of those I think I just saw. That
Yeah,
was
he
it.
served for a little bit.
Yeah.
What's interesting is the Air Force seems to have a lot of comedians. George Carlin,
I
Don
saw-
Knotts was
right.
in the Army Air Corps. Sinbad was in the Air Force. There's quite a few.
I was
famous
trying to imagine
people that
Don
served.
Knotts in the service.
He was in the Army Air Corps actually.
You know, you ever see him when he does those on TV where he does those karate things and
Yeah.
he just bounces back and he's just a skinny little rump. But yeah, it's fascinating. But all veterans and so much, as well as you and our engineer in the other room, Jeff. We thank you for your service, of course. So the next question I have is, we've talked a lot about what you do. What don't you do? Because people got to understand, you are not the VA, and we make that distinction every
Correct.
single
Yep.
time. So what don't you do? And then we'll go to what you do.
So I am a civil servant. I work for the county. I advocate.
We
for,
pay your salary.
You absolutely do pay my salary. I work for the public.
I got that all the
absolutely.
time.
That is true. And we advocate for veterans. We help veterans access VA benefits and navigate the VA bureaucracy. Things that we don't do, well, I can't prescribe you medication. I cannot override a doctor's decision. I cannot. There's a lot of times if someone has a problem, once they're enrolled in the VA clinic, so the doctor won't give me this or that, and they'll
Yeah.
come to me.
Don't come.
I'll talk to them, but I'll say, hey, we do not have control, over the VA. We try to help as much as we can, but ultimately we have to focus our time on what I call the tangible VA benefits. So things that come from the Department of Veterans Affairs that you can put in your pocket or you can directly use, whether that's health care, disability compensation, or pension for our war era veterans who need assistance with the tasks of daily living. Those are direct benefits that not only help veterans and other beneficiaries, they help Chautauqua County. That brings money into the county, tens of millions of dollars every year from the Department of Veterans Affairs comes into Chautauqua County. And we try to focus our things on that. Now what happens sometimes, very, very, very well-meaning and wonderful people call our office with a great idea of a project that we can take up.
Of course.
And unfortunately, that's just not where, and I always hated when I was in the military when someone would say, that's not my job. And I always hate to say to someone, that's not my job. And I always say, hey, it's a great idea. Unfortunately, we just don't have
It's not within the scope of your
we
responsibility.
don't have the resources to do that, and if we did, it would be great. But we do have the PFC Dwyer program,
I was just going to say about that one.
which does do a lot more of the intangible, the peer-to-peer mentoring, the volunteer work, the, hey, this veteran can't get a ride to the clinic, let's give him a ride, or this veteran has to be out of his apartment in 30 days, let's help him. Like some of the things that there's no, I don't want to say it's a catch-all, but things that are more intangible, more just veterans helping veterans.
That's a good way of looking at that. Veterans helping veterans. Very good. Okay, so we're going to come back to some of these if that's all right, but let me just say something right now. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels. My guest today is Greg Carlson, the Executive Director of Chautauqua's for Veteran Services of Chautauqua County. And the number here is 753-5225. Please call if you have a question, or if you know somebody that's a veteran that should be getting services or has a question that's shy, or if you're recently discharged, give us a call. And remember, the show will be on YouTube later on if you want to reference it. All right. So, going back to what you don't do, there's a new clinic. It's not a new clinic, it's an old clinic in a new location.
Correct.
So what's your relationship with this new clinic down on Hazelton?
Yeah, in Hazeltine, yep.
Say Hazeltine.
Yep.
And you guys.
So the relationship is, well, for one, I use the clinic.
Okay.
So I'm a patient. Dr. Sundquist, she's fantastic. She's my primary care provider, and she works out of the Jamestown VA clinic. So our relationship with them, more or less, is I help with enrollment. So when I say I help with enrollment, I screen a veteran, see if they're qualified. We fill out the VA 1010EZ, which is the application for VA healthcare, and we submit it so that they can enroll and become a patient at the Jamestown VA clinic. Beyond that, I have no official capacity, meaning I have no authority over anything the Jamestown VA clinic does, what the doctors do, what the nurses do, what they will and won't do, other than I help veterans enroll at the clinic.
Okay. So the clinic used to be on the 3rd Street Bridge.
Correct.
Now
And
it's
when I say we were co-located, we were in the same building, but we weren't truly co-located.
Okay.
So the Chautauqua County Veterans Service Agency and the Office for the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging were on one side of the building, and then the clinic was on the other side of the building. And it was just coincidental that we rented the same
All right. So where are you
place.
now?
So
You've
we
moved.
are on 567 Fairmont Avenue in West Ellicott, or Jamestown. It's a Jamestown address.
Right.
And there's all kinds of different places that you can use as geographic references. The Salvation Army on Fairmont. We're next door, or I should say 2 doors down from the Salvation Army. We are across the street from Tanglewood Manor, the nursing home. If you're actually going to come see us, we are in the back part of the building, so you wouldn't even though we have a Fairmont address, you would turn up Warwick, and our parking lot is directly across the street from the Spectrum Eye Care parking lot.
Wow.
Okay, so there's another geographic reference. Or if none of those ring a bell, the saloon, the bar, is right across the street.
Now, Jeff just asked me a question, something about turning in a signal. Is there a signal there? A traffic light?
There is a traffic light. Yep.
Okay. So depending on which way you're coming.
Depending on which way you're coming.
Okay,
yep.
super.
So there's
all
traffic
right.
right
So you're not on Hazeltine. You're on Fairmont.
correct. I'm on
You send
Fairmont.
people to the clinic on Hazeltine.
Correct.
All right. Now,
It
call
just
me-
so happens that we used to be co-located.
All right.
And I think that over the years, people got used to that
Right.
and thought we were directly affiliated,
Not really.
but we just
Different
we were
monies,
not.
everything.
Yep.
Okay. So what's the difference between the Jamestown Clinic and going to the VA in Erie? Are they both clinics? Or what are they?
No, so in Erie, Pennsylvania, it's a medical center. So it's the Erie, Pennsylvania VA Medical Center. A VA medical center is not a full-fledged hospital, but they are going to have a lot more services available to you than a clinic.
So what does a clinic do?
Clinic is your primary care provider.
Oh, so it's like you walk in.
Like going to your doctor's
get your
office.
vitals checked,
Yep,
need your
you-
flu shot, whatever.
If you had a general practitioner, that is what your clinic is. So they can take an EKG, they can take blood, they do your annual physical, they can set you up with telehealth, so you can actually go to the clinic and meet with your pharmacist on telehealth. There's things that they can do there, but it is think primary care. It is your general practitioner, your everyday doctor. If you have something that is more serious or that they want to refer you out for, then they're going to send you to the Buffalo VA.
Can they send you to the Erie?
I'm going to say, so for the purpose of this conversation, the answer is no.
Okay.
Now, there's going to be a veteran who says, no, that's not true because they sent me to Erie once. Typically speaking,
Okay.
the Jamestown Clinic and the Dunkirk Clinic are in the Western New York VA healthcare system.
Okay.
And they refer their people to Buffalo.
All right.
If you go to Warren Clinic,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to refer you to the Erie VA Medical
Which
Center.
makes sense.
So 3 different levels. You have the clinic, primary care. You have a medical center. Okay, medical center's got a little bit more, but not everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a full-fledged VA hospital. So here's what's interesting. The Erie PA VA Medical Center used to be a hospital, but it's not a hospital anymore. It's a medical center. So if they had to send you to a hospital, they would send you to Pittsburgh.
Yes, they do. That's true.
So they would send you from Warren, Pennsylvania to Erie to Pittsburgh. Now it's everywhere you live, there's something, right? So if we lived in central New York, it would be a piece of cake because the Syracuse VA hospital is where everybody would go, and all the little clinics around there would report to
Right.
that. But we just live in this weird little area where we hug, we smooch the Pennsylvania border.
See, in Ripley, most folks I know, they go
They go to Erie because it's
to
closer,
Erie, right? Yeah.
So, and that makes life simple for them, but for like we're at, and there's a lot of angst because people want to be able to go to Jamestown for this, and they want to be able to go to Erie for this, and they want, they kind of, and it just unfortunately doesn't work that way. But they're like, it's the VA, we should be able to go anywhere, and I don't necessarily disagree with them, but I understand just like any other healthcare system.
We'll
there's
leave
a
that
flow.
red tape to the
Yep.
VA then.
Yep.
But let's talk about the clinic. You were telling me before the show that it's state of the art, that it's
brand new.
So regale us with the information, because I have not been there.
Okay, so the Jamestown Clinic
On Hazeltine.
on
See how many times I've
Hazeltine.
mentioned that now?
Yep,
5 times?
it's on Hazeltine. To say there's no real changes is not true. So it's the Jamestown Clinic as it has always been. It's just in a different location.
Okay.
And the reason for the different location is business. So it has to do with leases and contracts and everything else. So they had just hit the point where their 10-year contract and 10-year lease was up.
The one that was on 3rd Street Bridge.
Correct, the
Got
one
it.
that was on the 3rd Street Bridge. So the Department of Veterans Affairs is always updating. They're always evaluating the care they provide, and they've decided, hey, for our clinics, this is how we want them set up. The old facility on 3rd Street didn't meet the minimum requirements for space, for how things are organized, for safety, all the things that come into effect.
Well, and I
So-
mentioned to you, I had to go there for meetings, not
Yeah.
that facility, but somewhere else in that group of buildings, and the parking was really weird. I mean, coming off that bridge was, well, I don't want to say dangerous, but it was interesting to say the least. I mean, you really had to be on your A game when you're driving
So
there.
in the new location, everything is perfectly level. There's plenty of parking. It's easy to get in and out of. There's several handicap parking spots.
When you say level, you get out of your car, just walk in.
Yeah, yes, everything's floor
Wheelchair
level.
accessible.
Yes, everything is floor level. And there was a ramp at the old location, but ultimately what the difference is the clinic itself. So they've put a lot of things into the new clinics, not just for aesthetics, but for providing a safe, more private, a better service, basically. So it's really kind of hard to explain, but if you can imagine, all of the providers are located like in a central area, okay? And then the offices, the doctors, the rooms are around it. So all the providers are in one area, and so you come in one door.
So there's a different traffic
And
flow.
they come in from the middle, so that way you have privacy when you go into your room. The providers have privacy when they come into your. It's just a completely different.
Traffic flow, how everything moves.
Yeah, how everything
nice.
goes. It's got a very nice flow.
So you said that they have telemedicine there. Did they have telemedicine at the other clinic?
They did, but
Okay.
everything now is designed in a more user-friendly
Probably more
manner.
modern.
Because
and everything else.
everything's more modern, and what they looked at is, like I said, everything from safety to privacy to the comfort of both the patients who use the clinic and then also the staff members who
Now-
work in the clinic.
Just again, making the distinction is you had nothing to do with this clinic as far as design and paying for it and all that.
No, that's the Department of Veterans
that's
Affairs.
U.S. government, VA.
Yep.
And then you're helping people.
So
get
there's a
there.
regulation that sets minimum requirements for what a VA clinic is supposed to be. And this regulation came out and said, hey, our VA community-based outpatient clinics are going to be required to have this much square footage, this type of entry, these types of services. And so when they were evaluating the facility that they were already in, it didn't meet those minimum requirements, so that's why they moved to a new facility.
Okay.
and redesigned everything.
Now, we were mentioning the average person that you process is in their 50s and getting retirement, and that usually says canes, maybe some wheelchairs. So how's that for handicap parking and all that sort of accessibility? Sometimes
Oh, it's excellent. Right in front of the building, like you can 10 feet away from the doors, there are several handicap parking spots, and the new facility, you have much wider doors.
Okay.
You have, everything has one of those, I'm going to say this wrong, one of those push buttons where it
Yep, I know what you mean. You push that
opens
button.
up.
Yep.
It's just designed in a way to accommodate for all of those different things. There's, for example, even the scale you use, it's like one of those big, I can only think the kind you drive your car on, where it's not the old-fashioned, you got to stand on it and they do the thing. I mean, it's very easy. You could wheel right up on it and get your weight, and they could subtract the weight of the wheelchair or whatever. I mean, Everything
that's
is.
what I should do when I go to the doctor. Bring a wheelchair, and then they just subtract maybe more than they should.
Everything
this
is
wheelchair
designed
is really heavy.
and of course, if a medical professional is listening to me, they'd be like, "That's not the way it works." But from visually speaking, and then from reading a little bit on the regulation about how the new community-based outpatient clinics are, everything is designed with wider hallways, wider doors, easier accessibility, safety measures for the staff that work up front, safety measurements for the patients, safety measurements for the people that work. Because unfortunately, we just live in a time and place where things don't always go as we would like them to go.
Okay, let's hold that thought. We have a phone call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Greg. It's so good to see you on the show again.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Linda Spalding.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you for all the wonderful things that you've done, being in the service and what you do with the veterans here in our community, the tremendous services that you provide. And, Doc, I was wondering if I could mention a few other people.
Certainly.
This morning. I'd like to give recognition to my son, Steve, who served in the Gulf War, who recently died.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and also my cousin, Steve, who served in the Vietnam War. He recently died.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And I also want to thank Dr. Francine Papracki, who has been a psychiatrist for the Veterans Administration for many, many, many years. And she just recently retired.
Well, that's a great shout out, and we appreciate all their service and
Yes.
for veterans and the veterans that serve for and helped us out. So, okay.
Yeah. But Greg and his staff do a tremendous job.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So, is the sun still shining out there? We're kind of like.
It's glorious. I'm going to have to watch the tape because I just got in from an hour-long walk, a beautiful walk this morning in the sunshine. It's just glorious out there today.
Well, thanks for calling, Lynn, and sorry for your losses, but.
Oh, well, thank you.
All
Yeah.
right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you take care, and thanks for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I did not know that about Lynn. The clinic itself, then, you said, is very accessible with parking and so forth. So now, what if there's a veteran watching right now and says, well, I live on the west side of Jamestown and I can't get, I'm assuming Hazeltine is more central east? Have I got that right?
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to do
a different place where the other clinic used to be.
I want to say it's more on the southwest side of Jamestown. If I had to, I'm trying to think. Yes, more on the southwest side.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, wherever it is, if they need some help getting somewhere, how do they get to the clinic if they need a ride or something like that?
Well, carts is probably one of the most common ways to
schedule a pickup.
Yeah, schedule a pickup to get to the clinic. Now, here in the next month, there was, if anybody is following in the Post Journal, there was some questions about the new clinic, but it's something that the city of Jamestown, the mayor really appreciates veterans and he takes it very seriously. So we're actually going to have a meeting in mid to late November to discuss that very thing. How can we help? Because there's a handful of veterans who, with the change in location.
Absolutely.
Right? So what's good for some isn't good for all.
That's what it always is.
And so what we're going to try to do in that meeting is address the concerns of some of the folks that maybe don't have the same accessibility to the clinic
Dwyer group maybe
that they,
could be
that
a
they
part of
had
the solution here.
that they had before, and see if there's something that we can do for those folks that were having that issue.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that I put a shout out to the Jamestown mayor for hosting that.
Good.
So
well, and that's the way it should be. Everybody get together. Let's put our heads together. And lots of times there's some quick solutions that people hadn't even thought of. And sometimes we have problems that aren't problems.
well, you know what? Sometimes it's a problem that maybe there's no perfect answer for.
Right. We do the best we can.
But what we do is we validate the concerns of the veteran. So if they have a concern, we address it. And sometimes people are happy with that. They're like, hey, I understand and I appreciate that you looked into it, and we'll just have to go a little further down the road to go to the clinic.
Before we're down to like 4 minutes here, but let's make sure we get some phone numbers and some addresses, because you have the different locations that people can get a hold of you guys. So let's start with Dave, Dunkirk Dave up in Dunkirk. Where's his office and a phone number?
So his office, I'm actually gonna pull it up.
You
so
go
I make
right
sure
ahead.
I give you the right thing. So
I
I'll
don't
give you
remember
ours
that.
while I'm looking it up.
Okay.
So we are at 567 Fairmont Avenue in Jamestown, New York. It's West Delicate, but it's a
Right.
Jamestown address.
I'm aware of that, yep.
And our phone number is 716-661-8255.
Okay, that's Jamestown area.
Now I'm going to look up Dave's because I want to get the address right.
Because they moved a couple of years ago after that fire.
Yes, they moved. Well, it wasn't because of the fire, but same thing. Their clinic moved locations, and then he's actually co-located with the clinic.
Okay.
Agency. His phone number is 716
Yep.
268 6030. That I know off the top of my head, but I just need to get the address there.
They're on Central, or where are they at?
I think that sounds right.
Don't rely on my memory.
1170 Central Avenue.
That was close. 1170 Central Avenue,
Yep,
and that's
and
Dunkirk.
That's in Dunkirk, New
Dunkirk
York.
Dave.
Yeah,
All
Dunkirk
right.
Dave.
And how about the bear, Mike? Where's he at? Is he?
He is at 567 Fairmont
He's with
Avenue.
you.
Same phone number. Yeah, we're
So
made
does he have a beard or no beard right now?
He is. I want to say goatee.
Goatee. Oh, because we're friends on Facebook, and every once in a while I'll see a different
It's
look.
goatee, and then of course we have our operations assistant Carrie Finnerty. She's been with us forever. She does all of our burial benefits and makes sure that all of our veterans are honored in that way.
Okay.
And they can get the flag and the presidential certificate and the placard for their.
Yeah.
And then if they're in receipt of VA benefits, and they'll get some monetary benefits for their
Right.
burial or funeral expenses as well. So.
And we're running low on times, but real quick, there are benefits for spouses, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing I think that surprises people, that they need. If you're married to a veteran and you're not the veteran, there's something there for you perhaps too, and you
Perhaps.
need it.
And
Perhaps that's what I'm saying. Maybe.
Yeah, it depends. And most of the time, this is not always, but most of the time, the benefit is always for the veteran unless the veteran passes. Once the veteran passes, if you were the unremarried surviving spouse, okay, so meaning you're the surviving spouse and you have not remarried, you may be eligible for benefits based upon the veteran service.
Okay. And get a hold of one of you guys.
Get a hold of one of us. And I've seen it go both ways, where we've had 10 people contact us, and unfortunately they just don't qualify based on the circumstances. Then I've had others that think, no way I'll ever qualify for anything, and then that changes their life. So
Okay. It's life changing.
Yep.
11/11/11 this coming Saturday. 11th month, 11th day, 11th hour. World War I was signed off.
Armistice Day.
where
Used to be Armistice Day.
Where are you going? Are you got any special ceremonies?
So yes, as a matter of fact, County Executive Vince Horgan, former County Executive Vince Horgan, who actually hired me, is being inducted into the New York State Senate Veteran Hall of Fame.
Whoa.
And that is going to take place actually in my office on Thursday afternoon. There'll be a small reception for some folks.
Well done, Vince.
Now, there'll be veterans ceremonies all over the place.
Right.
Things that I'm attending personally. Fredonia's having a veterans remembrance ceremony, Fredonia State that is. I'll be speaking there, keynote speaker, on Friday afternoon. And then
Great.
on Sunday, the American Legion is having their county-wide memorial service, and that's
Okay.
at 1 o'clock in Brockton, the Brockton Legion,
Okay.
on Sunday.
Okay.
the
And
14th.
I know Ripley does theirs at 11/11/11, and that's coming up too. Greg Carlson's been my guest today, Director of Veteran Services for Chautauqua County. Greg, this has been great. Thanks for sharing all this information. We've run out of time as always. Will you come back next year?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. For those of you that are veterans, thank you so much for your service. Those of you families of veterans, thank you for your patience. And Greg, thanks to your crew that's doing a great job for our veterans. Everybody, pat a veteran on the back, thank a veteran, do whatever it is you need to do to honor these folks. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. I guess it's supposed to get a little bit nicer tomorrow. Take care, and we're going to do this all again next Saturday.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye now.